Big Lake Schools community. This is Superintendent Trubenbach coming to you once again with a short video message. You'll notice right away for our Friday, October 9th message, it's a little bit different. I'm actually going to be sharing my screen because today I want to navigate through some resources that we have available to you as community members. And some of this will be a reminder to some people, but some of them, some people might need to just be aware of this resource that we have out there. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take you to our website, and I want you to know that whenever we put out information, we typically send it out or blast it out via email to our families or oftentimes on social media and whatnot. But whenever we have resources, we also post it on our website. So I want to just walk through a couple things from our website just to kind of keep you informed and kind of remind you of what's out there. And the first thing I want to do is I want to share with you this portion up here that scrolls through different kind of headings we refer to as the banner. And as it flows through, you'll see that it actually changes over time. And if you move forward using these arrows, you can see that there's different bits of kind of the hot topics of the day that can be utilized for your information. So today I'm going to actually scroll forward using that arrow, and we're going to talk a little bit more about health services. So I'm going to find some information about that. I'm going to click on it right there. And on each of these links, you'll see that there's a summary, basically, of our health services. But here's what I want to talk about today. Underneath each of these items, there is information and there's often live links of different resources that you can utilize throughout the year to kind of gain some information or if you have questions. So let's take a quick look into, because today I want to talk about this first one. If you click on this one, it offers, again, a brief summary of what it is, but there is a highlighted, a different colored live link right here where it says this tool. This tool is actually a live link to what I want to talk about today, and it's the decision tree. So let's get into that. So if I click on that, now here is the decision tree that MDH has actually provided to us and as a resource for our families to help determine when their family or their child or themselves have symptoms of illness. Now, I will say this, no matter what we do here, it's going to be really important for us to be aware of our body and of our own health. It's important that we maybe have these conversations with our students to understand when something is not quite right, to be able to identify what that symptom is, because that's going to allow us to better guide through what the next steps that should be taken. And what MDH has done is taken COVID-19 in particular and has narrowed the focus of the symptoms to two categories: a more common symptom and a less common symptom. And it seems to me these have been consistent from the very beginning, that the more common ones are around that 100.4 fever, as well as worsening or an onset of a cough, difficulty breathing, and that new loss of taste or smell. And those are some of the more common symptoms that you will see if you have, in fact, contracted COVID-19. Now, there's also some less common ones that come along with it. You know, your sore throat, your vomiting, your muscle pain, excessive fatigue, so on and so forth. But I also know and acknowledge that as we transition seasons, coming from a person myself who also experienced some seasonal allergies, this aligns with some of these less common things. Or symptoms. So, for example, if I experienced a sore throat in isolation, this would be, I would point my attention to this green section, which is a person that has one of the less common symptoms. I'd evaluate that symptom, and I would follow this along, and I would determine that, am I well enough to attend school? Well, okay, then I would attend school as normal with the one symptom. But if, in fact, I was not well enough to attend school or a program, that's where we get to this lighter shade of green, and then that would engage other pieces. So return to school if you will move off here, or perhaps move to a testing type situation with a healthcare provider. That being said, if I am a person that has a symptom of one of the more common symptoms with the fever or the cough or the difficulty breathing or loss of taste or smell, or if I have at least two of the less common symptoms, then I fall into this blue category. And again, you just follow these arrows through. The person stays home. as well as there's an evaluation from the healthcare provider, so on and so forth. And here we talk about the siblings in the household remain at home and are sent home. This is where we start talking about quarantine, and we're starting to see more and more of that throughout as we enter into the school year here and start to realize that there have been some exposures and whatnot. And speaking of exposures, so this is the area when you start analyzing these symptoms. But this grayish area right here is where we're talking about close contact. And this is where we start to hear terms like quarantine or staying home for a certain amount of days and so on and so forth. This track defines what a close contact is and also provides direction and understanding of what MDH is recommending in terms of guidelines. So when you hear of students being quarantined, so on and so forth, or staff members or community members, this track is kind of to help you understand what that all means. Now, realizing that this is kind of all complex and from a visual perspective looks pretty busy, for lack of a better term, we've also provided a narrative. And if you prefer, you could just walk through, and this basically is a narrative explaining kind of what I went through there as an example. And it talks about the first path as that green path, and the second path, which is the blue path, and so on and so forth. But it does offer to you a nice narrative as well as the close contact path. And as always, they offer additional resources. You can go in depth every step. You kind of link into these type of things. But really, this is meant to be a resource for you as community members, and it is what we utilize here at school as well. We utilize this decision tree similar to what the families, we're asking our families to consider. So this was brought to my attention as being kind of busy and overwhelming, so I just wanted to spend a few minutes talking about that. But I also wanted to talk about, and I want to come back to our information page here, remember we're on the website, I wanted to talk about, again, review the second item, which is the data for K-12 schools. This is the 14-day COVID-19 data by county. And again, if you click on that, it offers a brief summary, but I'm going to go to that live link. And this is a link that's open to the public. It's on our website. You can see that this was actually updated on the 8th, which was yesterday. And it offers a nice summary of the models that are being recommended, so on and so forth. Our back-to-school plan follows this model. But it also gives you up-to-date a view of all the counties across the state. So this is, from Aitkin all the way down, alphabetical speaking, to all the counties. But I'm just going to scroll quickly here to our county, Sherburne County, right here. You can see that yesterday our score, if you will, for case rate came in at 16.2. And you can see last week it was at 14.3. Prior to that, it was at 11.6. So you can see us kind of starting to tick up a little bit in our numbers. It's important for our community to be aware of that. And the reason why I bring that forward is because you'll also notice that neighboring counties are starting to tick up too. I know we've got, Stearns County moving up quite hefty and moving up in regards to some of that. So it's important for us to keep a broader picture and a broader perspective on where our counties around us lie so that we, in fact, are aware. Because as numbers increase and as we start to consider moving our models back and forth, this is one big resource that we do lean on to make those changes. But again, this is important information. It's public information. You can certainly utilize and take a look at it and get a view from a state perspective where these cases are come from around the state. Now, in closing, we've already finished our first month of school, and I just want to take the opportunity to thank all of you in the school community, students, parents, teachers, staff, everyone. And as I've said so many times in the past, it's going to take all of us together to make these changes to our new normal successful. I appreciate each and every one of you. So please, keep up the good work. And with all of that being said, I certainly hope you have an opportunity to make this weekend a great one. With that, I hope you have a great day.